Deltarune Chapter 2's release came to the surprise of many fans of the series. During the finale of the Fangamer Undertale 6th anniversary stream, just when it felt like the stream had ended, a message stating, "Continue to Chapter 2" appeared on the screen. The annoying dog representative of Toby Fox himself played through the opening of the new chapter, before revealing the release date was merely 2 days away. Though the time between the release of Deltarune Chapter 1 and 2 was more than 2.5 years, development of the new chapter took a year and a half. In an interview with Nintendo Indie World, Toby has admitted to taking more of a director role in the development of this project, due to their wrist injury leaving them unable to do the majority of the work like in Chapter 1 in Undertale. In the same Indie World interview, Toby revealed that he asked Japanese artist Nelnal to design a musical enemy for Chapter 2. Toby was given 3 examples to choose from, but he liked them all so much that they were all added to the game instead of just one. Since the release of Undertale, Toby Fox has studied Japanese as a language, and because of this he can now work closely with the translation team that localizes Deltarune. This allows Toby to oversee the translation alongside Kaiko Fukuichi, and to give feedback as to the type of message they're trying to get across with their characters' dialogue. Artist GGDG, creator of the webcomic Cucumber Quest and concept artist for Sonic Colors Rise of the Wisps, played a role as a concept artist for Chapter 2. In a tweet they made shortly after the release of Chapter 2, they revealed their involvement in the project, that being the garbage zone, city, and castle color/design, as well as the new buildings found in Castletown. They also released a sketch of a building with a giant queen head and an open mouth as the entrance with the caption, "Lamau, like that Toy Story ride," that would eventually become the Queen's Castle. When all the cars are piled up just outside the library, a series of honks can be heard as part of the scene. Honk's song is 1 minute and 1 second long, with a familiar motif at the end, meaning if the player were to wait, they would hear the motif of Metal Crusher from Undertale. During the transformation sequence while entering the Dark World for a single frame, Chris's red eye can be seen. Berdly's weapon in the Dark World isn't an axe or a spear, but a halberd. Get it? Entering the police station and talking to Napstablook after the criminals escape will cause them to sound the alarms. The alarm in question has the same motif as their fight music from Undertale. Talking to them while the alarm plays will prompt them to say, "It's a nice beat to study or relax to while you escape from prison," in reference to the popular lo-fi music stream of the same name. The pot-breaking sound effect is the same as the heart shattering in Undertale. Also, it's possible to get through the area in the Queen's Castle where Chris has to balance the pot on their head. It just breaks at the finish line anyway. In the Queen's Castle, a large stack of tables can be seen blocking the way to a hamster water bottle. Upon inspecting the stack, it will say, "The Supreme Table. You won't be able to use this without the Throne of the Gods," referring to the massive stack of chairs in the kindergarten room of the school. When Lancer is turned to stone, they can be pushed all the way to the left and sat at the table, where they'll be treated to a bib and a meal. Of course, he can't enjoy it since he's been stoned, but during one of the fast car stoplight puzzles, if the player goes down instead of up, they'll discover a wall covered in warning signs pertaining to the annoying dog. When entering the next room, the player is immediately struck by the annoying dog in a Fisher-Price toy car, killing them quickly. This is a false game over, as the player wakes up in a newly unlocked room with a dumpster and the moss. The funniest part of the annoying dog game over is that it's not even the correct game over screen for this game. It's the Undertale game over in music. Similar to the first chapter, there's a secret egg room in Chapter 2. In the dumpster and moss room, there's a chance to enter a new room when transitioning between the two spaces. This is insinuated by the graffiti of a tree on the wall, the tree which the unseen man that hands Chris the egg stands behind. Trying to backtrack through the city from the trash pile will result in the player being blocked by a giant toilet-shaped toilet. Toby Fox tweeted about this toilet being imported with a way larger size than it should have and probably just kept it because it was funny. Pressing F1 during the Spamton fight actually helps the player by restoring some health. The same can be applied to the Spamton Neo fight that heals the whole party as well. This even works on consoles and is mapped to R3. Chris's room in the Dark World has a similar appearance to Azrael's side of their room in the Light World. During the Spamton Neo fight, if the player charges their shot with one of the 2 fire buttons and fires with the other, it creates a charge shot that fires as fast as normal ones. Since the original button is being held down, the game assumes that it's been fully charged, since the shot is fired once the button is let go. There's a patch in version 1.05 that didn't fix the cheat, but added a variable that counts the amount of times the player has done it. Update 1.06 removes the glitch initially, but allows the player to activate it if they hold both X and C. Spamton now not only notices and reacts to the use of this glitch, but their attacks deal more damage when the exploit is in use. Chris has 20 HP in the overworld regardless of their level in the Dark World. 20 is what Frisk starts out with in Undertale at level 1. If the player walked all the way to the other side of the room in Chapter 1 with the bird and talks to the original Starwalker, they'll join the player on their journey through Chapter 2. They even follow the party after the gift scene if the player chooses to give it to Berdly, making this the largest group following Chris in the game thus far. Returning to Noelle's room in the castle and examining the monster statue on the leftmost side of the room will prompt Susie to ask if she can steal it for her own room. After returning to Castletown at the end of the chapter, Susie's room has a cool new statue in it. This statue resembles the depiction of the monster from the prophecy in Chapter 1. The same can also be done with the Icy statue, but Chris doesn't seem to enjoy it much. During the Fangamer Undertale 6th anniversary stream, Toby Fox revealed a number of tracks that went unused in Deltarune. These tracks are School, alternate version, Checkerboard, Epic Rules Battle, Character Joined, long version, King Battle, orchestral version, The Legend, alternate version, Fountain, and Main Game Theme, piano version. As well as showing these unheard tracks, Toby also had written testimony as to the removal as the song was playing. The alternate version of School was removed due to a worry that the game's main theme would be overused, so Toby instead composed a song that sounded closer to the town music. Checkerboard wasn't used due to the great board area being so small, so Toby felt that the use of unique music here would leave players underwhelmed. Epic Rules Battle was unused since the character himself isn't that epic at all, and Toby felt a song like this would mean the player would feel like they could beat him in one hit. The long version of the Character Join jingle went unused since standing in place for a full 10 seconds would be awkward for the player, a joke they played with in Chapter 1. The orchestral King Battle goes unused since Toby only had an idea for the first 40 seconds of it and felt it didn't fit the scene. The Legend, alternate version, is actually one of 3 versions of this song, but goes unused since the intro doesn't have the right atmosphere for the scene. The unused fountain music was originally supposed to introduce a new leitmotif, but Toby went with a more evocative theme instead. Toby does like the track and intends to find a reason to use it later on down the road. And finally, the piano version of the main game theme was composed with the idea of being an animated intro, similar to the game Wild Arms, with the apex being the main party running up a flight of stairs with silhouettes of the bosses from every chapter flying by before the silhouette of the knight in a white doorway at the top of the stairs turns to face the party. The broken down mechanism the player places the loaded disc into for Spamton has a very similar appearance to Mettaton, as well as Mettaton Neo's form. Within the original Undertale art book contains an image of the original design for Mettaton, which bears a striking resemblance to the dilapidated machine the player needs to interact with in order to unlock the secret boss. Spamton Neo's music contains a number of motifs from past fight music by Toby Fox. The opening contains the same motif as Battle Against a True Hero and The Power of Neo. Parts of the song also sound like the world revolving. And the breakdown is the same as the song Dummy. When asking Sans about seeing his brother, he'll say, "Sorry kid, the brother thing is gonna have to wait." How long? Maybe a day, maybe another 2 years. Who's keeping track at this point? This is a tongue-in-cheek reference to the time between the release of chapters 1 and 2, and also points to Sans having the same fourth wall breaking abilities as he does in Undertale. At the beginning of the game, when the player looks at Azrael's computer, there's a folder called Epic Game Stuff, with a drawing of the final boss being a creature with giant rainbow wings. Though many fans assume this to be foreshadowing the Spamton Neo boss fight, it's actually a reference to Azrael's fight in Undertale. Regarding the machine that becomes Spamton Neo, Swatch in the shop mentions how the robot was the embodiment of a lightener's dream, splashing color from the motion of their hand, describing the MS Paint fill tool, and implying the robot was designed by Mettaton, or Hapstablook as they were known in Undertale before they got their new body. Occasionally when spelling out a word or code for the panel puzzle, the robotic voice is replaced with Sans. The different dances the party does during the Sweet Captain Cakes fight are references to a Charlie Brown Christmas. Rouxls is doing the iconic Charlie Brown dance, Susie is dancing like Linus, and Chris is doing the Russian squat dance that Snoopy does briefly at the end of that scene. After Chapter 1 release, Toby Fox stated the game would only have one ending as opposed to the multiple endings of its predecessor. When Chapter 2 released, however, the Steam page description was updated to accommodate the new chapter, adding the phrase, "only one ending, ... implying that maybe this title would also have multiple endings based on player choice. Or this is just a bait and switch. During the Sweet Captain Cakes fight, Sweet, Captain, and KK all fired their attacks in sync to the beat of the battle music. Originally, one of the attacks in this fight was unintentionally longer than it should have been, but this was fixed in Update 1.06. Rouxls is the only party member to not have a room in the Queen's Mansion, due to the fact that they're a Darkener and have never used the online search feature on a computer in the light world that generates these rooms in the castle. The WoW sound effect from Earthbound after the player has named their party can be heard sampled in both the songs Big Shot and Now's Your Chance to Be Ya, as part of the drum track. Spamton refers to dark dollars as kromer. The theme of foreign currencies being associated with online scammers dates back as far as the early internet, as kromer is likely referencing the Norwegian krone, a currency in Norway pluralized as kroner. When beating Spamton by lowering his HP in a previously pacifist run, he'll mention how the player should have done that earlier, and how they could have been the first to own my commemorative ring, in reference to the thorn ring that's required to complete the Snowgrave route. During the lightning wall puzzle, when Noelle needs to cross over to step to the other panel to let Chris through, the player can step off and prank Noelle. If the player does this, however, Noelle will do it right back. During the pop-up fight, the pop-ups that occur during the block action and the enemy's lines are fragmented Japanese written in English letters. Additionally, during the block action, if the player hovers their mouse in the window, their cursor is replaced with a smaller pixelated version, though the pop-ups cannot be interacted with using the mouse. One of pop-ups' pop-ups is an image of Everyman, an attack from Reaper Bird in Undertale. This isn't their first appearance in Deltarune, as they can be seen as graffiti in an alleyway and in the Jevil fight as one of the carousel rides. If Lancer is checked in the key items pocket right after Noelle joins Chris, they'll ask, "Can we make them a bad guy?" implying the existence of a Snowgrave route. During Rouxls' explanation of the Roaring, one of the described titans has a number of familiar-looking eyes strewn across its torso. These eyes are of similar appearance to the eyes on the very first area Chris and Susie end up in Chapter 1, and are even interacted with as part of a puzzle. In Chapter 1, the library only has one door leading to the computer lab, while in Chapter 2, it's double doors. The mouse wheel line rolling around at the speed of mouse may refer to the opening line of the Sonic Adventure 2 song City Escape, which opens with rolling around at the speed of sound. The name of the enemy Swatchling and their ability to change colors refers to a swatch. A swatch is a sample of colors often used in home decor and general visual arts used to easily keep track of a certain visual palette. The enemy Virokun refers to two different famous viruses in their voice lines. The line Happy New Year 1997 is a reference to the Happy 99 virus, which propagated itself through users' emails and is considered the first virus to spread in this manner, though altered to refer to Spampton's favorite year, 1997. The other line, I've got a love letter for you, is a reference to the I love you virus that spread in a similar way but was much more malicious, overwriting random files on the victim's hard drive before sending itself off through Windows Address Book and Microsoft Outlook. If the player beat Jevil violently in Chapter 1, they're rewarded with the Devil's Knife, weapon equipable by Susie, or if it's done peacefully, they're awarded with the Jevil's Tail, which is an armor. During their fight, Task Manager refers to the Devil's Knife by name, saying chaos, chaos, no, no, order, order, now get rid of that silly Devil's Knife, if Susie has the knife, and the same quote asking them to get rid of that silly tail if they have the Devil's Tail equipped. The final showdown with Queen and the foreshadowing minigame earlier in Chapter 2 are a reference to the game Punch-Out. The Queen's laugh is likely based on the character Hayeki Kagero from Super Punch-Out, whose laugh sounds incredibly similar. During her introduction, Queen refers to herself as serial number Q5U4EX7YY2E9N. What initially looks like the code on the back of your router is actually not that random, as it contains all the letters required to spell out her name and in order. If the player loses to the Queen during the Punch-Out fight, she'll duck repeatedly. This could be a reference to the act of teabagging, a disrespectful action popularized in the game Halo, where one player crouches repeatedly over another dead player. Personally, I think this could be a reference to Smash Ultimate, where unlike its predecessor, taunts are disabled during online battles, so the closest thing after landing that sick wombo combo is crouch dancing. Berdly even references this if you hover the blue bird over him in the light square puzzle earlier in the game, stating, "Chris, stop taunting me with that appealing blue shape. You're just lucky this isn't online, or you wouldn't be able to taunt." Hey everyone, thanks for watching another 50 Fast Facts. If you enjoyed the video, be sure to hit a button and keep up to date on everything Neb. Alright, thanks for watching. Until next time.